from that present. Fighting goes on day and night. The Jews resist from base to base and escape at the last moment through underground passages.
Finally, to get the people out, they burned. They went from house to house and they burned. Let's smoke them out, they'd say. Our bunker was built to hold 20 people, but we soon had 70 in this tiny room. We had to let them in.
In the streets controlled by the Nazis, deportation goes on amidst the flames. Within the first 5 days of the uprising, nearly 20,000 are deported to extermination camps. Business as usual. Himmler writes,
"With their bones broken, they still try to crawl across the streets into buildings which have not yet been set on fire. Their stay in the sewers also ceased to be pleasant after the first week. A great number of Jews were exterminated by blowing up sewers."
Then the Germans came to get us in our bunker. They started to throw hand grenades. So we said, "We are coming out." The others were buried alive.
The commander of the Warsaw Jews, Mordecai Anilevich, commits suicide with his staff. For this great military victory, General Jurgen Strupp is decorated with the Iron Cross. The Warsaw Ghetto is destroyed. Across the face of Europe, so are 6 million Jews.
And you shall tell your children this story. For it is written, not only one has risen up against us, but in every generation, some have risen up against us to annihilate us.
The solemn victory of the Allied forces rescues the remnants of European Jewry. A poem by Nellie Sachs speaks for those who survived.
We, the rescued, the nooses wound, for our necks still dangle before us in the blue air. We, the rescued, beg you, show us your sun, but gradually. Lead us from star to star, step by step. Be gentle when you teach us to live again. Lest the song of a bird or a pail being filled at the well, let our badly sealed pain burst forth again and carry us away. We, the rescued, we press your hand. We look into your eye.
You are taken to displaced persons camps, often German barracks, located right next to the concentration camp you just left. You live surrounded by tragic memories. At first, the camps are a Tower of Babel, with refugees from many countries, Jews and Christians all cramped together. But soon, the Christians begin to leave. They are going home. To the sound of music, the daily exodus takes place. They are returning to their homeland, to their families. The Jews watch them go. By now, they have learned the terrible truth. Wherever there had once been a Jewish community, there are now only mass graves. There is no home. There is no family for the Jew to return to. A terrible despair sweeps the camps. Each person is engulfed by solitude. In the DP camp at Landsberg, there are 3 survivors from Kovno ORT who find each other. One of them is Jacob Oleski, its former director.
We did not even know if ORT still existed.
But soon the ORT people come into the camps, and the first ORT school they set up is in Landsberg, with Oleski as director.
Landsberg is where Hitler wrote Mein Kampf. Landsberg will be where we begin our struggle to build a new life of peace for our people and all humanity.
However, they find that their first and most difficult job among the survivors is a psychological one. For many, work is death. For the Germans literally worked you to death. Now, ORT must break through this fear and slowly, carefully, lovingly lead the survivors back to life. For it is written,
I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live.
The vast job of rehabilitation begins. Help pours in from the United States and the United Nations. This is ORT's shining hour. Never before has vocational training on such a vast scale been applied to a refugee population. 1 out of every 4 DPs passes through an ORT center. The ORT diploma is called a passport to freedom because it helps many get their visas. By the end of 1947, there are over 700 ORT courses in the camps. They are short and fast. Emergency training, emergency skills to prepare you for a new life, a new home. But where is that new home? Most are barred from the United States by its quotas. Palestine is closed to them by a strict British quota. But this the Jews will not accept. In desperation, they are smuggled across the borders of Europe, 1,000 miles to the Italian Sea, ready to run the blockade of the Palestine coast with a Haganah. Some will get through, many will not. "10 days at sea, crammed together, often with little water. The voyage is long and hard, but the goal is a new life. And then, within sight of Palestine, they are spotted. Trying to masquerade as a freighter, they hide their precious cargo. But to no avail. A British destroyer steams toward them. defense, they raise their shield of David as they are boarded. They are forcibly transferred to British ships. Their feet know only for a moment the precious earth of their promised land. Those caught are taken to the island of Cyprus, enclosed again, first in the ghettos, then in concentration camps, then in displaced persons camps, and now, after victory, behind British barbed wire. But still they come. And aboard the ship Exodus, in a pitched battle, 3 Jews are killed. Many are wounded. This time, however, the British do not send them to Cyprus. This time, they are forcibly returned to Germany. World opinion is enraged. But England's Ernest Bevin states his point of view succinctly.
The only reason the United States wants us to let the Jews into Palestine is so that they won't have to let them into New York City.
The Exodus passengers, now back in the DP camps, attend ORT schools as a sign of their continued belief that they shall return to Eretz Yisrael. Trained blockade runners and pilots, ORT sets up special schools in Italy, Marseille, London. And in Cyprus, they wait. And in Palestine, they wait. They wait for the UN vote on partition, a vote that may, after 2,000 years, again create a Jewish state.
Afghanistan? No. Argentina? Argentina? Abstention? Soviet Union? Yes. United Kingdom? Abstain. The United States? Yes.
But the real existence of the State of Israel will be won only with the blood of Jews. The gates of Eretz Yisrael swing open at last. Every Jew who needs one now has a home. How do you build a new nation? You build it with love, with courage, with muscle, and with skills. Israel turns to ORT to provide these skills. And ORT creates the largest, most advanced network of vocational schools in the world. Schools designed to endure. No longer will the need be for emergency training for a desperate people or for Jews on the run. No. Here the training will be long-term and sophisticated. Training for Jews who know they are here to stay, who have a future to build.
If you graduated from the first course of school and would live long enough in the ghetto to survive and have another, then you could go to a higher class. But mostly, we did not survive long enough to get to higher classes.
They get to the higher classes now. They get to the classes in languages, mathematics, physics, electronics.
But what trade can a tradeless shtetl father teach his son today?
Telecommunication, design, drafting, aeronautics, computer sciences, automation, you name it. And now, the new ORT School of Engineering at Hebrew University.
Build a fence around the Torah. Don't get mixed up with anything from the outside.
Once we were ahead of our time. Now the times have caught up with us. And where they have not, we give it a little push. Wherever Jews are in need all over the world. Where the new technology and the ghetto Jew knew nothing of each other, ORT was and is the bridge that has linked the two. In India, ORT is trying to give those isolated Jewish families skills and self-confidence with which to join modern society. When the Jewish community first learned of the neglected Jews of North Africa, ORT established many schools to help them and took particular pride in the unique school for the deaf in Morocco. Later, thousands of North African Jews had to flee those schools and their native lands. The famous ORT schools of France, which are spread throughout 6 cities, made many of them welcome. In the same way, decades ago, ORT followed the Jews fleeing Hitler to South America and established a school for them in Argentina. A school which today offers some of the most advanced courses in computer sciences anywhere in the world. Most of the teachers for this vast network of schools are trained at the Special ORT Institute at Agnières. They know how to involve. They do it in 23 countries, in 700 schools throughout the world.
All Jews are responsible, each for the other. If we do not care for ourselves, who will?
And there is still so much more to be done. Wherever a Jew needs skills to help him attain a better life, he will find ORT, and ORT will find him. ORT helped create a revolution in Jewish attitudes and Jewish life. Nothing will ever be quite the same again. ORT walks hand in hand with the Jewish people. Like them, always attuned to the happy possibilities of life. For it can be sweet, sweet. Each of us must have a chance to taste of that sweetness, to drink from that cup. Choose life, it says in the good book. ORT does. Choose with us. L'chaim, to life.